Welcome to Two Travel Dads Podcast. Here we share our favorite destinations, travel tips, ideas for saving money, and stories from our adventures. Be sure to check out our show notes at twotraveldads.com/podcast-episodes. Hey, welcome to another episode of Two Travel Dads Podcast. I'm Rob.
I'm Chris.
And today we are talking about two awesome places, Walt Disney World and Universal Orlando Resort. So both are awesome theme park complexes in Orlando, Florida. And we're going to kind of dish about what's different, what's the same about the two, how you can kind of decide which is right for you or your family for their trip, all that stuff. So you're ready to dig into it?
Sure. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. So this is actually take two because our first conversation was a little bit crazy. But one of the things that we were chatting about on our first go round was where everything is located. So Orlando is a really big city, and you've got Walt Disney World down by Kissimmee, and then you've got Universal Orlando up around the convention center area and iDrive and all that stuff. How far did you say it was if you're going between the two?
Yeah, I was just curious, like how far it was between each resort, and it depends on the time of day, but without traffic, it's about 20 minutes. With traffic, it's about 40 minutes, right? So it's just going to depend. I was trying to think about how easy it is to maybe hop between the parks, but I think just trying to even hop between Walt Disney World parks is difficult. So we'll get into that. But.
We'll definitely get into that. But yeah, no, you're right. So it is about 20 minutes without traffic. It's quite the ride. For some reason, Orlando has really bad traffic. I don't get it. But yeah, so each one is about 35 minutes from Orlando International Airport. Airport code is MCO if you need to look that up for any reason. But yeah, so you can get between the two if you are staying at one of the resort hotels and you want to go to the other set of parks, you totally can. You just have to plan it right.
Yeah, and then depending on what you need for transportation, they actually offer some services for you to get right from the hotel. Not from the hotel, but from the airport right to your hotel if you're staying on property at either Disney World or Universal Studios.
Yeah. So Disney World has a couple things. They've got the Magical Express, and that's something that when you book your Disney World resort hotel, because it's available for most Disney World resort hotels, when you book it, you give them your flight information, and they'll go ahead and they'll get you set up with Magical Express so that you can have that arranged in advance. With Universal Orlando, you do have to book that on its own. It's a vacation add-on. It's not just provided by the resort, so you do need to plan that in advance as well, and it's an additional cost. But it is an easy way to get from the airport there without having to deal with, taxis, Ubers, rental cars, anything like that.
Yeah, and I like that they manage your bags for you. I remember
great.
That, and that made the process pretty simple.
Yeah, in fact, if you are landing and then going directly into the parks, they'll even deliver your bags to your hotel and to your room and everything.
It's like magic.
It is like magic. Speaking of magic, if you're staying at a Disney World hotel and you're doing this and you've got your MagicBand in advance, your MagicBand, it has your ticket loaded onto it. It is what you can use to charge. It is your hotel room key, all that stuff. It is magic. So don't lose that. So that's kind of the basics of getting to the individual resorts. But let's kind of talk about the resorts themselves. So one of the questions that I thought would be fun to talk about is, who do you think is the kind of the target for Disney World? Who do you think is the target visitor for Universal Orlando? What's your thoughts? Disney World, are you thinking it's best or kind of aimed at families, at multi-generational people, groups of friends?
I think it's targeted at people who are fans of Disney characters. Like, I mean, I know it seems like really simple, right? But honestly, I think it's if you're like a huge Mickey, Minnie fan, if you love the Fab Five, if you love the Frozen characters.
Real quick, who are the Fab Five?
That's Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Goofy, and Pluto.
Okay, good.
right? Top five. But yeah, I think it's anybody who is a huge fan of Disney. Really wants to go to Disney World because you can experience all of your characters that you remember, growing up with as a child, and you get to experience that while you're there. Character breakfast. You'll get to see Chip and Dale. You'll get to see Pluto and Goofy, and all of your friends there. And as you're walking around in the park, you get to see all the characters there too. And you might want to share that experience now with your child if you're able to go to Disney World, as a kid, and now you get to experience that and share that magic, if you will, right, with your kids. So I think that's kind of the target audience because it can be multi-generational. It can be big groups. It can be you and your friends, but it's for people who really like Disney.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really smart way to talk about it and think about it, is that it is for Disney fans versus like a specific age group or anything like that. Because like when I think of Universal, the attractions there, the rides are so much more, I feel like so much more intense. And there's definitely some things at Universal that really pack a punch versus just have like the magic flair to them.
Yeah.
And I think that Universal does kind of target less so of just the fans of Universal products, or Universal movies or anything like that, or Warner Brothers movies, but they go for the people who want to have a specific type of fun. So,
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of felt like they definitely target people who enjoy like superheroes, all of your comic book characters, thinking of Spider-Man and, oh gosh, what's the girl with the white in her hair?
Rogue,
right? The kids love
and
seeing
Storm,
her, right? And Storm and Hulk and all of the characters that you'll find on, Islands of Adventure. I think kids who are into, superheroes are really going to enjoy that experience, which is different than what you get at Disney.
Yeah.
But
And do you know, I don't know if you realized this when we were at like Hollywood Studios at Disney World, that there was no Marvel stuff anywhere? Even though Disney owns Marvel?
No, I noticed that. I noticed that there was Star Wars stuff there.
Yeah, so there's Star Wars stuff, but the reason that there's no Marvel stuff at Disney World, but there is at Disneyland, in fact, they're building the whole Avengers campus in California Adventure at Disneyland. But the reason there's no Marvel stuff at Disney World is because Universal in Islands of Adventure has Superhero Island, and they've got the rights to that, and Disney cannot produce any Marvel stuff in Florida while they still have Superhero Island at Islands of Adventure.
Interesting.
So that's why you can meet Captain America and Spider-Man and everybody there. And then you go to Disneyland and you're like, oh, hey, everybody's here too.
Yeah. Yeah, the other thing I think too, and don't get me wrong, like Disney World actually has really amazing coasters too as well. There's some really great thrill rides at Disney World, but I think you're just speaking to a different group of people based off their interests, right? So there's some kids out there who are like, they want to be a wizard, right? And more so than they want to be a princess. So I think like your little boys and girls who are really into like magic based off watching those movies, they're going to want to go to the wizarding world of Harry Potter because that's so much cooler to them than being a princess, versus those who totally love dressing up princess dresses or want to be a prince, love the magic at Disney, they're going to go there. So I think that, again, it goes back to what is your kid like? What do you guys like? Are you more into wizards and superheroes, or are you more into Disney characters?
Yeah. That's funny. I really had never thought about it like that in terms of who's like, that it's an interest-based thing versus age groups and like family groups and stuff. So
I mean,
you're
like,
totally spot on.
the boys, like our boys, they love their wands.
Oh my gosh.
Right? And so even here at home, I'll say this, they play more with their wands and trying to cast magic spells, which we help support. And more so than like putting on their ears.
That's true. Yeah. Even though there are times where the Sully horns from Monsters Inc.
Oh, they do come out.
Those come out.
Yeah,
every now and
yeah.
then.
I think it's because he's a monster, though.
I know. Yeah, that's true too.
But I do think if we were to ask the boys, hey, tomorrow, do you want to go to Disney World, or do you want to go to Wizarding World of Harry Potter?
They would choose straight up Wizarding
Harry
World
Potter.
and the rest of Universal Orlando
They sure would.
for Disney World.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Good times.
So I think it goes back to you. What do your kids like? What do you like?
Yeah.
You know?
And it's funny because if I were given the choice, actually, no, we can't get into this yet because I have that as our like closing question.
Got it. Okay.
So let's
Well, we
not
know what
talk
the
about
boys
that.
would choose.
Yeah, we know what the kids would choose. We'll save our opinions for the end. Um, okay, so we've kind of dished through all that, but let's talk about each one, about Disney World and then about Universal Orlando and what is our favorite of each resort and why. So between them, like thinking about Disney World, do you have a particular park that is your favorite of them? Because we've got the Magic Kingdom, Disney's Hollywood Studios, there is Epcot,
Epcot.
and then Animal Kingdom.
Yep.
So which of those is your fave?
So after experiencing each of them, my favorite is definitely Animal Kingdom.
Yeah, mine is too.
That place was awesome. I mean, the theming was super cool. They had really great shows.
Great food.
The food was amazing. Really good food there. And I really liked the mix of rides that they had. It was just, I really enjoyed our time there.
And I
Plus
really
that,
enjoyed having downtime at Animal Kingdom too. That was great.
What did we do for downtime?
We borrowed other people's kids and let them all just kind of run crazy in Dinosaur Land, or we just kind of you took Oliver and Elliot and I just walked around Pandora and yeah.
Oh, that's right.
was
It's
just
Pandora
chill.
and Animal Kingdom.
Mhm,
Oh gosh,
yeah.
that ride actually is truly amazing.
Yeah.
That area that was Oliver's favorite place, but mine too as well. It was really amazing.
Yeah, no. So Animal Kingdom definitely wins for both of us for what we love more.
Yeah, it's got the Pandora ride, and it also has is that
It's called
Mount
Flight of Passage.
Flight of Passage, and then the Everest ride. What's
Oh my
that one
gosh,
called?
Mount Everest.
Mount Everest.
Gosh,
You don't remember what it's called?
you know what? I could look it up on my blog.
Yeah, we'll find it in a moment. But anyways, you could just see it. I mean, if you
Expedition
Google-
Everest is what it's
Expedition
called.
Everest. Again, super cool coaster.
Oh,
It was
and a little startling.
fast. Well, that's what makes it amazing, right? If it wasn't startling, it'd be boring.
Yeah. No,
It
but you
would
know
be-
what though?
No.
So more startling than that though was the Aerosmith rock and what was it?
I love that. Yeah.
Gosh.
The Aerosmith coaster
In Hollywood Studios. My gosh,
Yeah.
that was intense.
yeah. Again, so some really good rides still at Walt Disney World.
Yeah, but d- I think that was more intense than Expedition Everest myself. Could just be me, you know.
Well, you're a little bit more sensitive to coasters than I am.
Well, so I'm not going to say why the Aerosmith coaster was so intense and so startling because I don't want to spoil that for anybody who hasn't been on it. But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it absolutely it got me, and I was not ready for it. Mm-hmm. Good times.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I'll just have to say, hold on to your stuff.
yeah, hold on to your stuff and hold on to your tummy too, because yeah, and it's all in the dark. Anyways, so Animal Kingdom is the solid winner for both of us for Walt Disney World. What about Universal Orlando Resort? So we've got Universal Studios, got Islands of Adventure, and then Volcano Bay.
What about the Wizarding World of Harry Potter?
The Wizarding World of Harry Potter is a concept that spans 2 parks. So here's something,
I'm super confused.
a little insight for us. I've been to Universal Orlando Resort 8 times, and Chris has been once. So we have a little bit different understanding of those parks and stuff. So here is the scoop with the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. When you're in Universal Studios, you enter through the brick wall or through King's Cross Station, and you go into Diagon Alley, right? So that's where you'll find Diagon Alley. That's where you find Gringotts. That's where you find Nocturne Alley, that whole portion of the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. And then, if you want, you can ride the Hogwarts Express and head over to Islands of Adventure, where you get off the train at Hogsmeade. And that's where you find Hogwarts and the 3 broomsticks, and everything is covered in snow. That's where you find Hagrid's magical adventure or magical motorbike adventure, all that stuff. That is in Islands of Adventure.
Got it. I think regardless of how you get from point A to B, I think the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, which coexists in 2 different other areas, would still be my favorite.
So, but with that though, like talking about parks, they're in different parks. So if you don't have a park ticket that gets you access to each of the Universal Orlando parks, you only get to experience part of the Wizarding World. So
So
if
you can't take that train?
not if you only have a ticket for Universal Studios. So if you got the ticket that goes between parks, then yeah, you can hop on the Hogwarts Express and go from the station at Diagon Alley over to the other theme park and get off in Hogsmeade.
That's a big nugget of information for people to know.
Right? Yeah. So if you have the pass that gets you between all the parks, then great. You don't have to worry about it whatsoever. But if you have one that is only for one park for one day and you choose to go into Universal Studios, but you really, really wanted to, see Hogwarts, you chose the wrong park.
Some crafty design to increase sales for sure.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean,
yeah, I mean, it's smart, but
but-
it's also like I had no idea. I think, and that's because we had access to all the parks.
yeah, we did have
But
access to all the
super
parks.
great for listeners to know that you can't access the complete Wizarding World of Harry Potter unless you have 2 different park tickets.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's kind of like, think of it like wanting to spend your morning in Magic Kingdom and then end your night watching a laser show in Animal Kingdom. They are not connected, and you do have to transport between the parks. And you
Yeah.
have to have a ticket that allows you to do that.
They make it clear though because they just separate them as parks. There's not like some type of major attraction that blends between 2 parks, though, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
But Universal Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios are also very much separated. And when you get onto the Hogwarts Express, before you get on it, they have to scan your ticket to make sure that you have access to both parks.
Yeah.
You might not have had to ever pay attention to that because
I
had the
mentioned,
ticket,
yeah,
yeah.
I mentioned that. Like
Yeah.
I didn't have to pay attention to that, so I had no idea.
yeah.
But still, that combined experience is my favorite.
Yes. So, but
But I'm glad we had that conversation because it brought out a really important piece of information for people to know.
yeah, that never actually, I'm thinking about all of our blog posts. I don't think I ever talk about that anywhere.
Yeah. I would want to know that
Sounds
as a
like I need to
consumer
do an
because then I could
update.
be like, totally let down. If I'm like, I wanted to go to all this stuff, but now I need to buy 2 tickets. What?
Yeah. Okay. Make note of that. I will update that and add that huge nugget of information. Whew. Good times. See, there's lots of good reasons to have a podcast. You discuss things that you don't think about when you're writing.
And my other most memorable thing is going to get at Moe's, by the way.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So then, if there wasn't the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, would you pick Universal Studios as your favorite then? Because we still haven't decided that. Because, I mean, the
no.
whole. Really?
No, I choose Volcano Bay.
Oh, okay. Well, okay.
Because there was so much more. There was a lot to do there, and it's really warm in Florida. So I thought their water park was really amazing.
It
and
is
they've
the
got-
most amazing water park
They have
ever.
really great slides, and I love the slide coaster, if you will, right? So it has you're actually on a tube, but the tube
Oh,
has
Krakatoa.
little pockets. Krakatoa.
So cool.
The tube has little pockets, so that as to get you going uphill, there's jet streams that push you up the hill.
And do you know what else there is that actually does that? Because you know how you do go so fast
Yeah.
uphill? It's a magnet track.
Oh,
And
I
there's
didn't know that.
magnets
Oh,
in the inner
interesting.
tubes,
Okay.
and that's how it launches you, is it pulls you with magnets.
Yeah, but it's so they have really great slides over there. Like I could spend like all day.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing.
Well, I think we did.
yeah.
And while there are really great rides, at the rest of the other parks, I really did enjoy time at Volcano Bay.
Yeah. So my pick, I would actually choose Islands of Adventure as my favorite of the 3 theme parks at Universal. Just because it's got Jurassic Park, which I think is incredible. Not just the ride, but the actual like Jurassic Park land where you can have an encounter with the Velociraptor, and there's a cool actual like dinosaur playground, and yeah, there's that. There's the King Kong ride, which I think is amazing. And then there's the whole comic book cartoon area that has Ripsaw Falls, that is the most soaking wet water ride ever.
More so than Krakatoa or the
Oh my gosh.
or the like drops. What's the name of the? There was that one water slide in Volcano Bay where you just shoot out. You're like standing there in a little capsule.
Okay,
The floor drops.
so-
You go poof, right in the water.
So doing a water slide where you are in the water, you know what? I would actually venture to say that Ripsaw Falls is equally soaking as a water slide at Volcano Bay. It definitely is more wet than Krakatoa.
Interesting.
Yeah, so Krakatoa is the one where you're in the inner tube.
Yeah.
You get more wet on Ripsaw Falls.
Got it. Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. I actually
I've done
don't
that with
know if
groups
I've
of
been to
friends,
this
and we've all
park that
gotten
you've
off
been
and like
to.
we. How have you missed it?
I don't know everything that you just talked about. I'm like, I have not done.
Oh, I'll show you pictures later of you.
Oh no, I
in this
remember.
area.
I remember. I don't remember anything about Jurassic Park. I don't remember this ride that you were just talking about.
Chris is older than me, and he's losing his memory.
I'd love to see the pictures of me in Jurassic Land.
Oh, Jurassic Land. Okay, let's just move on. Anyways, so there you go. We got a difference of opinion there. Of everything, so we kind of started getting into this, talking about like what the kids enjoyed the most. So I think
Wait,
you.
What was the other? Isn't there another park though? So you talked to. What was your favorite that you just mentioned?
Islands of Adventure.
And is there another? What's in Universal Studios?
Universal Studios has the Rock and Roller Coaster. That's the big red one that shoots you. It takes you up and then it just drops you off the edge. You did that. You really did.
Where's the Hulk?
The Hulk is in Islands of Adventure.
Okay.
In Superhero Island. Yeah. So
I remember going there because I remember Transformer ride and the Spider-Man ride.
yeah. So at Universal Studios, that's where you've got the Rock and Roller Coaster and all of the backlot stages, and that's where there's a bunch of rides that you didn't do. But then you've got the Transformers ride is there. That's where you've got the Minion ride and
Yeah, I remember
Men
that. That
in
was
Black.
super
That's
fun.
where Springfield is, so you can go and get a beer at Moe's and drink Duff's beer and
We'll get the donut.
get the big pink
Oh,
donut
it's amazing.
and all that stuff. And that's also where you enter Diagon Alley for that entrance to Wizarding World of Harry Potter. So that's all stuff that's in Universal Studios. And that's where they've got the whole backlot area where it looks like you're walking in like Chicago or New York or San Francisco, all that stuff, and they can do filming.
Got it.
Yeah. Anyways, cool. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So earlier we started to talk about what the kids were enjoying the most, and I think that yeah, I mean Chris was right. They loved being able to cast spells in the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. That was absolutely incredible. So then at Walt Disney World, what would you say the kids would pick? Like if they could only go to one park for one day, where do you think they would end up if we were over at Walt Disney World?
Oh, they would pick the Animal Kingdom.
You think so?
I do, for sure.
I think they'd pick the Magic Kingdom.
You do?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, because especially having just been in Disneyland and repeatedly having to tell them, no, there's no mine car, there's no Seven Dwarfs Mine Train for us to.
Oh, that's right.
do.
That's a good ride.
Between that and Thunder Mountain, and especially now that Oliver has conquered Space Mountain and all this, I'm pretty sure that the kids would hands down pick Magic Kingdom any day.
Yeah, you're probably right. Just because of this recent experience in Disneyland, I mean, they just conquered most of their fears, and so I think with all of the rides at Magic Kingdom, they're most familiar with. So yeah, I think you're right.
And I'm just thinking back to Oliver specifically watching the fireworks at Disney World. Do you remember that?
That was my favorite experience ever.
Oh my gosh. He literally was
Danced the whole entire time.
like standing in front of us, like every time a firework would go off, like his arms would be fireworks and he would be dancing and jumping and
Oh, it wasn't every
it-
time fireworks were going off.
was
It
just
was
constant.
just constant throughout every
oh my gosh. And it was like a
single
20-minute
song.
fireworks
Yeah.
display and oh my goodness. It was amazing. The boys loved it. So yeah, I think hands down they would pick Magic Kingdom if they had just one.
because then they could do Splash Mountain, Thunder Mountain, Space Mountain, the Mine Train, right?
Yeah.
As well as then all the fun stuff. Then,
Everything they love. But yeah, I think that Animal Kingdom would be a close second for them.
definitely a close second.
But yeah, actually, Elliot would pick Hollywood Studios because that's where Toy Story Land is, and all that Elliot cares about in this life.
Toy
is
Story Mania.
Toy Story Mania, because that's him. Good times. So kind of changing tracks, like a train. Thinking about getting around each group of theme parks, I think that's something that also really has to be taken into consideration if you're like picking one plan and you're not going to be going like in between Universal and Walt Disney World. Understanding kind of how they're laid out and how you get between them, I think is important because with Universal, you've got some great options of being able to really simply either walk the trail between your hotel, except for the endless summer hotels. Those are way far away, and you have to take the bus, the resort bus, not just like public transportation. But you can walk anywhere from the resort hotels to the different theme parks. So that's really nice and easy. Like, for example, Cabana Bay has its own special entrance to Volcano Bay. And from,
So ideal.
yeah, and like from Sapphire Falls or from, and all the rest of them, from Portofino, all the different hotels, you can take the resort boats that just go along all the canals. So it's a really easy, super easy transportation, and it's not a long boat ride, and it's not complicated by any means. So I think that's something that is really great about the hotels at Universal Orlando. Getting
Not so much
not so
at
much
Disney
at Disney
World.
World.
No. Put it this way, we had to catch a lift.
Yeah, there was times where we would catch Lyft instead of trying to figure out how
Wait
to
for the bus.
yeah, take the bus from Disney Springs to anywhere.
Yeah.
Disney Springs is like the downtown Disney of Disney World. And
And they do have shuttle transportation between the parks, but you have to wait for it.
yes, you do. And if you don't get that one shuttle, then you're going to have to wait for the next one.
Yeah.
And Disney World really is just so spread out that if you want to go between the parks in any given day, you're kind of hosed.
Well, you have to just really plan for it, and just like you wait for rides, you have to wait for buses.
Yeah.
And so that's the downside. So I mean, if you play it right and you just spend one day in one park, the next day in another park, the next day in another park, and don't want to, go
Bounce between them or go
parks,
back to your hotel.
exactly, then you're fine. But I was surprised at the time it took to get between parks.
It's funny, like thinking about our overall, like we had a week at Disney World, and the only like complaint that I have is really the transportation and going anywhere. It was such a headache and a hassle that you would start your day or end your day by being a little bit irritated. And
Just with the buses.
yeah, it just. But there are some resort hotels that are like right next to Animal Kingdom or right next to the Magic Kingdom. Like you can walk from the Grand Floridian to the Magic Kingdom, or you can walk from. It's a long walk, but you can walk from the Animal Kingdom Lodge over to the park. It's got a really long, I think it's like a mile or something like that, walkway. So I mean, there are ways to get from the hotels to certain parks, but even still, you're going to be going far. So, anyways, that is just something to consider.
And plan for. I mean, if you don't know about it, it's good to know that there is shuttle service between parks, but you are going to wait.
So, thinking about getting between all the parks and how close things are, how easily accessible it is to go in between them, I think that's one of the things that I really love about Universal Orlando is that for me, it's such a stress-free experience in comparison to Disney World. Disney World to me was actually very stressful, from figuring out like their max pass, like fast pass system, to getting between parks, getting between the hotel and parks. That was all very stressful to me, and you had people planning things out months in advance all around us, and families that were like, "Oh, we have to go here now." That I didn't love that. And with Universal, you've got people who have express passes, and great, they'll jump in line if they want to. They're not freaking out about
Remind me
everything.
how the express pass worked. I don't remember. Did we carry something special? Did
No,
we have a band?
It was something that was added onto our ticket. So you
Yeah.
get your ticket, and then you can add express pass to
Yeah.
it, and then it's just kind of it's like a fast pass that
Yeah.
it's not like you can do it in advance. It's just if you want to use your express pass, then you scan it at the line that you're going into, and it's not limited. It is just you can't do it in advance. You just do your express pass for whatever ride you're going on to.
Yeah, so pretty simple then, because
It's basically cut the line.
yeah, but it's not like you're scanning your ticket at every single ride. It's only you're scanning your ticket because you're using the express pass lane,
Yeah.
right? So I mean, unlike like when you're going, I mean, I remember when we were at Disney World, we always had that Magic Band on, always had the Magic Band, But at Disney World, or not Disney World, Universal Studios, you didn't have like all these additional things. It's just you had your ticket that granted you express pass.
Yeah. Yeah. It was really simple.
Mhm.
And I really preferred that method to the complicated, like sign into a phone and then try and get
Get
a
through your
pass
app
for
and
later in the day and things like that. So, but everybody's different. And I think that choosing which parks you're going to do, I don't think it's going to be colored too much by all these different things that I've got issues with. But
well, again, it goes back to what experience are you looking for, and what do you want to see? What do
Yeah.
you want to experience?
So then, rolling all this up into one thing, if you were going to book one trip for us today to either Disney World or Universal Orlando, thinking about what you've done and haven't gotten to do and the ease of it all, what the kids enjoyed, what you enjoyed, which would you pick?
Universal. Yeah, hands down.
All right.
But now I know I have to get 2 tickets, which I didn't know about, to be able to access the complete world of
But
Harry
if you're going to be
Potter.
doing it for multiple days, you're already covered
yeah,
by
I
it.
mean, it makes sense,
Yeah.
right? And it's already going to be cheaper than trying to do
It's like when
more
you get
than
multi-day
Disney World.
park hoppers at Disneyland.
Yeah, yeah.
And I also would pick Universal Orlando if I was going to book a trip today and had to pick one of them. I would also pick Universal Orlando. I
And
didn't think that we would both pick that.
well, and if I had to choose between Disneyland or Disney World, not part of this podcast, but now it is, I choose Disneyland in a heartbeat.
I also would choose Disneyland in a heartbeat.
Super easy.
Yeah.
That's for a different podcast.
Yeah. We have that podcast recorded. You can download it also.
I know it was a different podcast.
Yeah. Good times. Is there any other stuff that you think that we should just hit on real quick, or do you think we should wrap it up? I think we really covered what the differences are and kind of what to consider before you completely book and plan something.
Well, what I will say is also at Universal, they have the Blue Man Group, which we tried to do, but the kids were so freaked out and
gosh.
crying, we had to leave. So we have yet to see it, but if you get to go and you get to go to the Blue Man Group, let us know how it is. Maybe this next time we'll be able to do it.
It started pretty darn cool, but yeah, good point. That's another thing to consider is what your kids can handle. So, good
And I
times.
think regardless of where you go, it's probably smart to bring your own misting fan.
Yes, for sure, because it gets hot.
Yeah, they're $20 in the park.
And they are $20 in the park. That's true. So that wraps up our chit chat about Disney World versus Universal Orlando Resort and what we would pick. If you've got questions or you have varying opinions, because no doubt there are some, feel free to leave a comment on the show notes page on twotraveldads.com. And then also feel free to also leave us a review or share us, subscribe through iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And tune in next time. Who knows what we'll chat about. Talk to you later.
All right, see you guys.
Bye. Two Travel Dads podcast is written by Rob and Chris Taylor and produced by Rob Taylor in Suquamish, Washington. If you would like to be on Two Travel Dads podcast or sponsor it, please visit us at twotraveldads.com/work.